Hello and welcome to another edition of Stock Watch. So as we enter the back end of the trading week, we hear some news coming out of the oil giants in Europe, namely Shell and British Petroleum, which is also known as BP to a lot of investors. Basically what's happened is the chief executive of Shell has promised to speed up and accelerate their cutting of carbon emissions by 2023 after a court ruling. So basically what's happened is environmentalists have won a court case a couple of months ago, actually last month in May, excuse me, arguing that Shell was failing to reduce its emission quickly enough. And this the CEO has sought to reassure shareholders and investors that it won't change the aspect of the company or the plan. It's just going to basically speed up the process of cutting emissions. And as a result, the emissions must be cut by 45% in 2030 by the 2019 levels that we saw 2 years ago. But what's interesting enough about this story is that the ruling came from environmentalists, so parties that are for the planet or a greener planet. It's not come from the Paris Accord or anything like that, or governments or something like that. It's come from environmentalists, and Shell have actually lost a court case because of it. So you have to think to yourself, if Shell can lose a court case because of environmentalists ramping up pressure, then how many other companies around the world that are fracking or doing other exporting natural fossil fuels and resources out of the ground, how many of these companies can be affected as well? So very, very interesting developments there. And just moving on to BP as well, their CEO is expecting a strong recovery in global crude demand and expects it to last for quite a long time. So Bernard Looney, who is the CEO, he was commenting in Moscow yesterday that because we saw quite a big heightened optimism when oil hit $70 a barrel, he's expecting this to continue in the near term as the inoculations on the pandemic are working, and especially across the northern hemisphere countries as well, where obviously the demand is actually heightened on a daily basis. So he believes that because vaccines are working, we just need to get them in more places for them to really start pushing for oil demand. So just want to look at Shell in just pulling it out for a couple of years. This is when the pandemic really hits. We had this detrimental downturn, and then obviously with the first and second waves, this is where we see this choppy action here. So you can see the detrimental downturn that the oil companies have had to endure over the course of this pandemic. But as we go into the back end of this trading week, we're just piercing the Ichimoku cloud, the top border here, which gives a bit of impetus on the upside. So if we can get another shoot through this particular area here, we could be looking at another double top here that we saw recently, which will hopefully go to a triple top for bulls, especially. So that's the psychological 1,450 region. We're not seeing too much in the way of divergences at the moment, excuse me, but we're just seeing what the opportunities are and what's going to happen. With oil companies, it has been very, very choppy in the last 6 months to a year. So that's when we're just looking to see what the realistic opportunities are going into the main area of the impetus now. So just a quick thing to look at for Shell, just looking on BP as well. Again, we're seeing an accentuation on BP, which is very, very good. We're trading above the top border of the Ichimoku cloud as well. And, we have got this on the daily charts, so don't forget. It's looking very, very buoyant for the company. So we're just looking to see what the main aspects are and the opportunities are. So I'll be looking, that is bid. We have broken the previous peak, just slightly. If we can stay above the 325 region, there's no reason why we can't go any higher. Again, just pull this back as well. So we're looking at these tops before this is actually at the first wave of the pandemic when lockdowns just started opening. But if we go even further out, again, just like Shell, we see this detrimental downturn. So these are the peaks that we'll be looking to see going forward. And it's very, very buoyant and very important that if the vaccinations do start working and being very, very positive around the globe, then like the CEO of BP said, we could see very, very good demand for oil, and in which cases the big major oil exporters and extractors around the world will see these their stock price increase tenfold as well. So something to look out for in the next few trading sessions, and also as we go into the third quarter of 2021 as well. So that's all from the Stock Watch today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any comments or queries, please feel free to add them to the post. I'll get back to you as soon as possible, and have a great trading day ahead, and bye for now.